What if the one who hugs you is secretly hoping to see you fall? What if the love you receive is just a mask for unspoken hate? We live surrounded by rehearsed gestures, calculated words, and smiles that don't quite reach the soul. But the unconscious doesn't lie. It whispers in the silences, in the discomfort you feel but can't explain. And sometimes the real enemy isn't out there. They're sitting right next to you. In this video, we're tearing off the masks of social niceties and diving deep into the human psyche. With Carl Jung's psychology as our guiding light, we'll expose the invisible signs of silent hatred, repressed envy, and fake friendships that quietly poison the sensitive heart. You'll learn how to spot the shadow in others and in yourself, because the deadliest poison doesn't come with rage. It comes dressed as love. If this message already speaks to you, hit subscribe and drop a comment. I felt this before. Not all affection is light. Some only shine to blind you. There are people who've mastered the art of smiling with their lips while their hearts beat with quiet resentment. They've become experts at faking warmth, but deep down, they're filled with bitterness. Bitterness toward your presence, your light, your freedom. Carl Jung called this shadow projection, when someone can't face their own darkness, so they throw it onto you. This hatred doesn't come loud. It slips through empty eyes, compliments with hidden thorns, and small acts that slowly drain your energy. Even when they're wrapped in concern, these are bloodless wounds, but they leave scars on the soul. Toxic affection is the most dangerous kind, because it wears the costume of love just well enough to stay hidden. Sometimes you feel it, a strange weight in the air, a subtle discomfort in the presence of someone who should love you. And then you blame yourself for having those thoughts. But your body knows, your soul feels it. Intuition is how the unconscious screams, when the mind goes quiet to keep the peace. The truth is, we've been trained to doubt what we feel, to trust words and ignore signals, and that's how we end up surrounded by people who hurt us in ways no one else can see, who smother us with kindness, who shrink us with soft-spoken cruelty. But love shouldn't feel like this. Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. When you don't see someone else's shadow, you end up living under it. You accept emotional crumbs, you normalize subtle disrespect, you smile back at the ones quietly rooting for your fall. Have you ever felt that kind of hidden tension? Noticed a look that didn't match the words? Drop a comment. Now I understand what I felt. Silence can hurt just as much as a scream, sometimes even more. The silent treatment is a form of emotional punishment. It confuses you, wounds you, and slowly eats away at your self-worth. No yelling, no direct insults, just absence. A cold, calculated silence that makes you feel invisible. It's the kind of aggression that leaves no bruises, but cracks you open from the inside. Jung would say, this is the shadow in action. When someone projects their inner resentment or frustration onto you, but lacks the courage to face their own pain, they choose silence over dialogue, distance over honesty. And that silence becomes a weapon. And you, the target. What makes it worse is the doubt it creates. You start asking yourself, did I do something wrong? Am I just overreacting? That's how manipulation begins. When you blame yourself, try harder, give more, desperately trying to earn back a connection that might have never been real. The cruelest part? The calculated indifference. No answers, no eye contact. A voice gone cold. They don't have to say they hate you, they just stop seeing you. And that kind of invisibility cuts deep, because every human being needs to be seen, even in pain. This behavior is common in imbalanced relationships, where one person feeds off the emotional fragility of the other. Absence becomes punishment, and in your desperation to reconnect, you start giving away parts of yourself that were never meant to be bargained. Have you ever begged for attention without saying a word? Drop a comment. Now I understand the power of silence. We live surrounded by actors, and the best ones don't need a stage. Social masks are built early. We're taught it's safer to pretend than to reveal. But some people take that mask and turn it into armor, using fake affection as a tool for control. They pretend to care, while secretly hoping you fall. Jung warned us about the persona, the public image we build to survive. But when someone becomes too attached to that image, they lose touch with who they really are. And life becomes a performance. That's where theatrical relationships begin, full of rehearsed gestures and hollow words. These people are charming. They know what to say, when to hug, how to appear empathetic. But it's all strategy, a game of appearances. Underneath, jealousy, competition, sometimes silent hate. But they'll never show it, because their mask is far too pretty to break. You notice things, a look that scans you too closely, a compliment laced with hidden judgment, support that quickly turns into guilt. They use you as a stage. They feel taller when you shrink, and all the while they call you friend, brother, love. It's a twisted theater, and sometimes you clap for it. Because you don't want to lose the connection, because you mistake politeness for affection. But deep down, something screams, this isn't real. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Have you ever doubted someone's affection, but were too afraid to confirm it? Leave a comment. I've torn off masks before. Envy rarely shouts. It whispers, politely, gracefully. Repressed envy is one of the most denied and destructive emotions. It grows in silence, born from comparison, from that sinking feeling of helplessness when someone else shines. And when it goes unacknowledged, it puts on a mask of indifference, sarcasm, or well-meaning advice meant to quietly chip away at your confidence. Jung once said, "What you refuse to face in the conscious mind sinks into the unconscious, and there it becomes dangerous." Envy, when denied, turns into silent hate. They won't allow themselves to hate you openly, but they'll root for your failure in secret. They'll smile, even as they quietly celebrate your losses. You start to notice it in small things, forced comparisons, jokes that belittle your success, their absence when you needed to be celebrated the most, tiny needles to your self-worth, disguised as affection. And each subtle wound makes you question yourself. Am I imagining this? You're not. You're feeling it, because the body recognizes poison, even when it's served in a crystal glass. That slow, quiet pain has a name. Living near someone who envies you in silence. Someone who can't stand what you represent and tries to dim your light little by little. Here's the hard truth. Sometimes the ones closest to you are the ones who most want to see you fall. Because your freedom makes them uncomfortable. Your light irritates them. Your growth reminds them of everything they've avoided. And instead of being inspired, they choose to wound you. Quietly, subtly, strategically. Have you ever felt that? Someone smiling, while secretly hoping you'd stumble. Drop a comment. I've felt envy up close. Your body senses what your mind tries to deny. There's an uncomfortable silence, a heavy presence, an unexplained tension when that one person walks into the room. You try to ignore it, rationalize it, be mature about it. But deep down, your body is screaming what your mind isn't ready to admit. Something is off in this connection. Carl Jung taught us that the unconscious speaks in subtle ways, through dreams, symptoms, and intuition. And more often than not, your body is the messenger. That sudden fatigue around someone, the anxiety that shows up out of nowhere, that urge to step back, those aren't random feelings, they're signals. Truths your rational mind isn't ready to touch, but the mind, trained to seek approval, resists. But this person is my friend. They haven't done anything that bad. Maybe I'm just overreacting. And so, you silence your own soul. But the more you deny your instincts, the louder they become, as anxiety, insomnia, chronic sadness. Intuition is an ancient compass. It comes from the most primitive and, at the same time, most sacred part of you. When someone hates you in silence, your body knows. Even if nothing is said, the energy speaks, because vibration doesn't lie. Emotional fields are real, and they reveal what words try to hide. You don't need evidence to protect yourself. You need courage to trust what you feel. Because self-awareness isn't about explaining everything logically. It's about listening to the voice of the soul and acting in integrity even when it hurts. When was the last time your body warned you and you didn't listen? Leave a comment. My intuition tried to save me. The worst kind of prison is the one we call a relationship. You keep trying, you justify, you forgive, you hold space for their pain, you give another chance, but quietly, bit by bit, you begin to lose yourself. And here's the brutal truth. Sometimes, loving someone who secretly hates you is the most devastating form of emotional self-destruction. Jung taught that individuation, the path to becoming whole, requires breaking away. There is no real growth where silent oppression lives. You have to let go of bonds that wound your soul, even if they're wrapped in the labels of family, love, or lifelong friendship. Because real love doesn't suffocate, it sets you free. But some people feed on your collapse. They grow stronger watching you fall apart. They smile as your light slowly dims. And the most twisted part, they say, it's for your own good. You start to believe it. And in that moment, love becomes a cage. What holds you back isn't them. It's your hope that they'll change. But they won't. Because someone who silently hates you will never see your pain. While you bleed to hold the connection together, they feed on your silence, your guilt, your desperate need to save what's already gone. Freedom takes courage and grief. You'll have to bury the version of them you wanted to believe in. You'll have to let go of the illusion, just so you can breathe again. But only after the break can the soul begin to heal. How many times have you betrayed yourself just to keep someone close? Leave a comment. I'm done loving those who destroy me. Sometimes, the one who hugs you is secretly hoping you'll fall. Sometimes, what you call love is just your loneliness, staring back at you. You endured the silence, ignored the signs, forgave what broke you, all because you were afraid to lose the little you were given. But now, you've seen it. You've felt it. You understand. The silent hatred, the hidden envy, the social masks, the theater of false friendship. None of it holds power over you anymore, because now you know intuition doesn't lie. Your body warns you, your soul craves peace, and love should never mean dimming your own light. Jung taught us, you must face the shadow to become whole. Maybe this video was a doorway, a mirror, one that finally reflected the truth you already knew, but didn't yet have the words to name. Leave a comment. I saw myself in this video. Subscribe to the channel and share this with someone who needs to wake up.